Conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction, convection, and radiation are three terms of physics that are seen and are experienced throughout our daily lives. These terms are used to describe the different methods of heat transference. In order to understand the difference between these three methods, the concepts of heat and temperature must be first understood. What is heat? Heat is energy in transit from a high temperature object to a low temperature object. The concept of heat is due to the motion of molecules and atoms moving together, recreating thermal energy. One way to define temperature is a measure of average kinetic energy of the particles in a sample matter. This definition of temperature correlates with the definition of heat due to both regarding the movement of molecules together, therefore generating heat. Heat is transferred in three different ways: conduction, convection, and radiation. The first method we're going to look at is conduction. Conduction is a transfer of heat between substances that are in direct contact with each other. The key part of this definition is direct contact. In order for this method of heat transference to be correct, the objects must be in direct contact with each other. As an object is heated, the particles in an object gain energy, causing them to vibrate more. These particles then begin to bump into particles near them, transferring their energy, which then in turn cause these particles to vibrate rapidly, causing them to bump into more nearby particles, transferring their energy. This process continues, passing energy from the heat end to the cold end of an object. Another important part regarding conduction is that not all objects conduct heat in the same way. Some objects are considered to be good conductors, while others are considered to be poor conductors. Good and bad conductors. For example, some good conductors are iron, aluminum, copper, silver, brass, lead, and stainless steel. Notice that each of these good conductors are different types of metals. These metals are better conductors due to the fact that they contain free electrons. These free electrons move through metals easily, gaining energy as they collide with hot atoms, passing their energy as they collide with cold atoms, therefore making the heat transfer more quickly. Although metals are good conductors, different metals conduct heat faster or slower when compared to each other. For example, copper conducts heat faster than aluminum, whereas aluminum conducts heat faster than iron. Some examples of bad conductors are materials such as paper, rubber, plastic, and wool. Due to their poor conductivity, these materials make good insulators because heat cannot travel very well through them. Conduction examples. One common example of conduction is a kitchen stove. As one places a pan on top of the burner of a stove top, once the stove is turned on, the burner heats up, which in turn transfers heat from the burner to the pan through the process of conduction. The burner and pan must be in direct contact with each other in order for this process to occur. Another example of conduction is an iron in a piece of clothing. When one irons a shirt, the iron is turned on and heats up. As the hot iron is placed on the shirt, the heat from the iron is conducted to the shirt to iron out the wrinkles. A second method of heat transference is convection. Convection is the heat transfer by mass motion of a fluid such as air or water when the heated fluid is caused to move from the surface of heat carrying energy with it. Above a hot surface, hot air expands, becoming less dense and rises. Cooler air then drops and replaces the warmer air. This air is then heated, which then again becomes less dense and rises. This particular concept is seen in our Earth's atmosphere. The sun heats the Earth's surface, causing warm air to rise and cooler air to fall. The method of convection not only occurs in air, but it also occurs in a liquid. When a pot of water is heated, the heated water then expands, becoming more buoyant, meaning it rises to the surface. The cooler, denser water near the surface of the pan then falls toward the bottom of the pan, where it is then heated. Convection examples. A common example of convection is convection ovens. Convection ovens are said to cook food faster and more evenly when compared to non-convection ovens or conventional ovens. They contain a fan that circulates the heated air inside of the oven, therefore eliminating hot spots, allowing for a more even heat distribution. A third method of transference is radiation. Radiation is defined as the transfer of internal energy in the form of electromagnetic waves. Unlike the method of conduction, heat transfer by radiation does not involve the direct contact of objects with each other. Heat is transmitted to an object through thermal radiation or infrared radiation, which is the type of electromagnetic radiation. Since there is no mass required for radiation, heat is transferred through electromagnetic waves. These electromagnetic waves are low-energy waves, making them relatively safe. Objects of higher temperatures give off more energy in the form of radiation than compared to cooler objects. If objects were at an equal temperature, there would be no transfer of heat. Therefore, the amount of energy an object radiates depends on the temperature. The Stefan-Boltzmann law of radiation is used to calculate the amount of energy radiated from an object at a certain temperature. A common example of heat transfer through radiation is a fire. The heat from a fire is radiates to its surrounding objects through the process of electromagnetic radiation. When one is sitting around a campfire, they can feel the heat that is emitted from the fire without becoming in direct contact with the fire. The fire is at a higher temperature than our bodies. Therefore, the heat is transferred to us, causing our bodies to feel the heat that it gives off. Another common example of radiation is the sun. During a sunny day, one can feel the heat from the sun as it warms our skin. The sun emits electromagnetic waves to the atmosphere towards Earth's surface, heating the objects on the surface, which are at a cooler temperature than the sun. In conclusion, the three different methods of heat transference, conduction, convection, and radiation, are all commonly seen or experienced in our daily lives. Although one might not think about these methods when they go about their day. As we boil water on the stove, we see a simple process of boiling water, when in reality this process is quite complex. When boiling water on a stove, there are two different methods of heat transference. First, conduction is taking place once the stove is turned on and the pan is placed on the burner, and the second method, convection, is also taking place, as the water is heated, causing the hotter water to become more buoyant, rising to the surface, and the cooler water to fall. Also, as we step outside on a hot sunny day, we simply see it as a day to enjoy the sun. But in order for one to enjoy the heat from the sun, the heat must be transferred through Earth's atmosphere to the surface through the process of electromagnetic radiation.